Hi everyone, we are Group 1 and will be presenting about the quantity surveying profession and practice in Malaysia. Our presentation will comprehensively cover the required aspect of this profession, highlighting the QS role as the financial and contractual steward in the Malaysia construction industry.
Hi, my name is Annie Ling.
Hi, my name is Adriana binti Sofian.
Hi, my name is Angelina Jong.
I'm Heidi Chong.
Now I'm going to talk about evolution of quantity surveying in Malaysia. Quantity surveying, or QS, is all about managing construction costs from the start of a project until it's completed. In Malaysia, this profession began during the British colonial period. Back then, it wasn't formal yet, but British surveyors already helped control project costs. As the construction industry grew in the 1970s and 1980s, the need for qualified professionals increased. That's when the Board of Quantity Surveyors Malaysia (BQSM) was officially formed in 1982 to regulate the profession. At the same time, RISM, the Royal Institution of Surveyor Malaysia, worked to promote education and professional standards. Today, QS work has become more advanced, use digital tools like BIM and COSX, and focusing on sustainability and green construction. In short, QS in Malaysia have evolved from a basic measuring role into a modern, tech-driven profession that supports innovation and sustainability. Next, I'm going to talk about key roles of a quantity surveyor in construction project management. A quantity surveyor plays a vital role in every construction project. The main job is to make sure the project stays within budget, on schedule, and meets quality standards. Some of the key roles include cost estimation, estimating project costs at the design stage, tendering, preparing the bills of quantities and evaluating contractor bids, contract administration, handling payment, variation and claims, cost control, monitoring expenses to avoid overspending, and final account, preparing the final cost summary when the project ends. Nowadays, QS also deal with value engineering, risk management, and sustainability planning, helping make projects more efficient and eco-friendly.
So, what is Bill of Quantities? A Bill of Quantities is a document that fully and accurately lists all the materials and work needed in a construction project. Its main purpose is to give a clear description of the work so contractors can price it fairly and consistently. When drawing or details are incomplete, the BQ may include provisional sums or approximate quantities which are later remeasured and adjusted in the contract. The BQ is important because it allows accurate tender pricing, fair comparison of bids, and better planning of labor and materials. It is commonly used during tendering to prepare prices during construction to measure work done, and throughout the project to control costs and manage any changes.
Moving on, I will explain the expenses expected of a quantity surveyor in managing a construction project within the project team. First, a QS should prepare preliminary estimates and cost plans to clients. Secondly, a QS should prepare a document for obtaining tenders, in particular the bills of quantity, and arranging a contract. Then, a QS will provide a tendering procedures and contractual arrangement to clients. Thirdly, a QS is expected to do valuation of work progress for making the progress payment. A QS should always check up on the work progress to ensure everything runs smoothly. Fourth, a quantity surveyor should do a valuation of variation and settlement of final costs. Fifth, a good QS should do an evaluation of contractual claims. Like, for example, the QS should always refer back to the contract when clients and everyone involved is making a decision. Finally, a QS should always prepare an attendance for litigations. All of this is important for QS to do to prevent budget overruns and extending the time of the project. Next, I will also explain the roles of Board of Quantity Surveyors Malaysia (BQSM). BQSM main function is to regulate the professional conduct of QS profession. First, a Board of Quantity Surveyor Malaysia main function is to register quantity surveyor. Secondly, BQSM also register firms and bodies corporate practicing as consultant quantity surveyors. BQSM also order a cancellation, removal, or reinstatement of registered QS or firm from the registration. Fourthly, BQSM also hear and determine dispute relating to professional conduct of QS. Fifth, a BQSM also attends matters necessary for the carrying out of the provision of the Act. Finally, a BQSM also confers the title of Professional Quantity Surveyor, PQS, and also Consultant Quantity Surveyors, CQS, for those who qualify. Moving on to my next point, I will explain the roles of Institution of Surveyors Malaysia, RISM. RISM main roles is to promote and regulate professional conduct of members, particularly surveyors. First, RISM will conduct professional exam together with BQSM to accredit QS degree from an approved university. Secondly, RISM be a housekeeper for professional conduct and discipline, maintaining the conduct and discipline of members. Thirdly, QS Divisional Committee deals with matters connected to syllabus for exam accreditation, application for membership, and professional conduct and fees. Finally, RISM confirm members with the title SR Surveyor. All of these are the roles of RISM. I will also explain the difference between RISM and BQSM in my next slide. A lot of people seem to confuse RISM and BQSM, so today I will explain the comparison between RISM and BQSM. RISM function is to promote professionalism and provide training as well as networking to surveyors. BQSM, on the other hand, is to regulate, license, and discipline QS professional. As for the membership, RISM is optional. However, for BQSM, it is mandatory for quantity surveyors to register in order to practice as a qualified quantity surveyor. RISM also develop careers and research. However, for BQSM, it is to develop the legal compliance, qualification recognition, as well as ethical standards for the QS. As for the scope of RISM, it includes all surveying disciplines such as land surveyors, building surveyors, quantity surveyors, and others. As for BQSM, it only includes quantity surveying.
For the different category of quantity surveyors in Malaysia, there are 4 types of registration category or label in Malaysia, such as provisional quantity surveyors, proof QS, professional quantity surveyors, PQS, consultant quantity surveyors, CQS, and quantity surveyor technologies, QST. Firstly, to become a provisional quantity surveyor, a quantity surveyor must have a BQSM recognized qualification. Not only that, but they are required to complete 2 to 3 years of mandatory supervised practical training before qualifying for the Assessment of Professional Competence, APC. Next, to become a professional quantity surveyor, there must be a former proof QS who has successfully passed the APC and is registered under Section 10(1) of the QS Act 1967. The title of professional QS allows them to take on all QS tasks such as creating bill of quantities and managing contracts. Next is the consultant quantity surveyors. This status is reserved for experienced PQS member who pass a final BQSM assessment, granting them the ultimate legal authority to establish and manage their own QS practice or firm. The CQS can establish and manage a QS practice or firm and provide PQS consultancy service to the public. Last but not least is the quantity surveyor technologies, which is QST. They are typically diploma holders or non-accredited QS degree holders who focus on essential technical support tasks like detailed measurement. Moving on, the importance of standard method of measurement (SMM) in measurement of quantities. The SMM is the standard reference for the quantity surveying profession in Malaysia, and it is important for producing a reliable bill of quantities, which is PQ, and is included in a contract. Not only that, it also ensures fairness and accuracy by providing a common framework of measurement rules, and this allows contractors to price tenders realistically and enable objective comparisons during procurement. Furthermore, SMM also acts as a tool that can mitigate risk, which can also reduce ambiguity, minimize errors, and serve as an objective reference for dispute resolution. In conclusion, using the relevant Malaysia SMM is effectively a core professional competence that can support transparent and smooth financial management of projects.
So, what happens if a quantity surveyor is not part of the project team? When a quantity surveyor is not part of the project team, several major issues commonly arise. First, cost management and financial control problems become unavoidable, with unreliable budgeting, frequent cost overruns, poor cash flow management, and a complete lack of cost reporting, leaving the project financially unstable. Secondly, in procurement and tendering, the project may face an ineffective procurement strategy, uncompetitive or unclear tender packages, and even awarding contracts to an unsuitable contractor. Because tender analysis, proper documentation, and bill of quantities are not properly prepared in the absence of the quantity surveyor. Thirdly, contract administration become weak, leading to poor contract selection and setup, frequent contractual disagreements, mismanagement of variations, and weak claims management, all of which increase legal exposure. In terms of risks, the absence of a QS results in unidentified and unquantified risks, no proper value engineering VE process, and rising unforeseen expenses due to poor value and cost decisions. Finally, disputes escalate easily. With prolonged and costly final account negotiations, a higher chance of formal disputes, and overall lack of transparency and eroded accountability, as no independent professional is managing costs and contracts effectively. Then, during construction, effective construction and demolition waste management begins with the planning and design stage, where a waste management plan (WMP) sets clear targets and responsibilities. Teams must design for waste reduction through modern methods of construction (MMC), such as prefabrication and industrialized building system, as well as standardized sizing. Material procurement should also use accurate estimation and just-in-time delivery to minimize waste. Digital integration with BIM and AI supports material optimization and predictive waste modeling. In on-site implementation, proper source segregation, good material handling and storage, continuous training and awareness, and strict monitoring, auditing, and documentation ensure compliance. This is supported by legal compliance and Internet of Things monitoring to track bin levels. The core on-site strategies remain reduce, reuse, and recycle, achieved through precise ordering, on-site reuse, and strong recycling streams. After construction, waste management during demolition focuses on recovery through careful planning. A pre-demolition audit identifies hazardous materials and assesses reusable or recyclable materials, followed by a selective demolition sequence. Instead of rapid demolition, deconstruction and a structured soft stripping plan maximize salvageable components. Finally, material recovery involves on-site processing, such as producing recycled concrete aggregate (RCA) and off-site processing at a materials recovery facility (MRF). Recovery prioritized include reuse, recycle, and managing hard-to-recycle materials like gypsum, plastics, and soil, supported by waste-to-energy (WTE) for residues and blockchain traceability to ensure transparent and responsible material handling.
In conclusion, we have learned that how the quantity surveying profession in Malaysia have developed and why it is so important in construction project management. The QS plays key roles in cost control, measurement, procurement, and working effectively within the project team. We also understand how the PQSM and RSM function, the different QS categories, and how the standard method of measurement SMM ensure consistency and accuracy. Without QS, project face higher risks such as a cost overruns and poor documentation. Lastly, the QS also contributes to sustainable practices, especially in managing construction and demolition waste throughout the project lifecycle.
That's all from us. Thank you.